Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's been a little while since I posted anything about the sedan. I was kind of going through buying a bunch of stuff for it and just being patient for my transmission guy to actually build this transmission for me. So he's at Texas 2K right now, or TX 2K or something like that. Never went to it, but he's there right now. And when he gets back, we're going to be talking to him about building the transmission. If you guys are familiar with him, he's Brian Spiker from Translab. And I'm a local to him, so obviously I'm going to drive it up to him. So it's a quick little update. We have some parts just hanging on the ground here. Project's kind of on hold, so in the meantime, I will give you guys a quick update on where exactly we're going with this sedan from here on out. So let me guys show you around real quick. We do have this transfer case, the stock PEP one. We're going to be running the stock housing. We're just going to go ahead and send it. We're going to check the backlash on this before I throw it in the car. We're going to make sure, we're going to pull the cover off, actually pull this cover off, get some Prussian blue or some kind of paint to check the spacing of the gears and their markings and their contact pattern. We do obviously have the billet case. However, I do want to throw in some PBG internals before I swap cases so I do not damage this case. I'm being told not to. It is not advised to throw the stock gears into this transfer case. So we're just going to go ahead and send it with this one, see if it can make 600 horsepower, see if it's going to hold. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. And obviously, you know, we've got our nice fancy titanium hardware because I don't have any hardware. I took it all out to get a count and a size, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw them back in for when I drop it off to Bryant. It doesn't fly apart on him. While we're here, I am running a socket as a spacer, and it fits pretty mint. Jack Spanier Racing forgot to send that, and he actually had to resend it, and it's pretty awesome for him to do that. So obviously we've got a gear set, we got a shaft. I forgot what gear this one was, but I think we have first and second. Yeah, first and second, and then this is going to be our fourth gear, and then third gear right here. We're going to put in the detent springs in the transmission. Of course, we have our brand new made in Japan throwout bearing. This is pretty much all the stuff I have for the transmission. Obviously, this is going right back in. I had to pull the cover off to kind of get an idea what it looks like in there, so I'll just seal that back up before we throw it back in. And I do have the bracket for this. I'm kind of glad I kept it. And now that Gear X set that I just showed you, it's good for 800 wheel horsepower. People have probably pushed a lot more. We're going to just take it to 800 horsepower. Alongside with the Gear X, we're running an M Factory limited slip differential with a Synchrotech Master Carbon Rebuild Kit. So all the new sliders, new synchros, springs, bearings, everything's being replaced. So like I mentioned, the next step is to drop the transmission off, and Jack Spanier Racing's resent the spacer for the bracket for my shifter cables. That's kind of where we're at, and I got all these parts behind me that are have to go in the car. And yeah, so today though, I do have to fix something. So this car officially has become a storage shelf. It's not good, guys. It's never a good thing when that happens. It's one of those deals where like, yep, I'll eventually get running. But this will actually be running in a couple weeks, if all goes well. So what we're fixing today is on the block, just like every other B-Series nowadays. One of these, I think it's this one right here, that's stripped on the block. So I did get a helicoil set from Amazon because it was like 20 bucks versus getting it from Tacoma Screw, which was like 70 bucks. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. We have to buy a $70 red repair kit. So here's what I bought. This is a AB Tools. Never heard of them before. Don't care, but it comes with our drill bit, our tap, and our helicoil install thing, and this punch thing, which I'm not too sure what that does. I have to look that up. But for the 14 millimeters that are for this, it is an M10 by 125. So we're gonna get under the car. I gotta drill it out and rethread it, and then put the helicoil in, and we'll obviously have this part prepped. Another thing I'm doing to prep it so we can get the transmission in nice and smooth. Let me show you guys real quick. I had to remove the stud right here. So the reason why I had to remove that stud is because the mount from Hasport actually, I'll show you guys in a minute, the hole that would go where that stud, you know, lined up with the stud, it was not quite big enough, but it was big enough for this stud. So you might not be able to tell in the photo, but for this stud, this hole, they bored it out bigger so it fits around the conical part of the base of the stud. This side is a smaller hole, and it would not, the mount was kind of sitting all crooked. And I thought you're supposed to put a washer, but no. Remove that stud for my B Series all-wheel drive guys. You can do that, or you might be able to bore this hole out. I wouldn't recommend it because it's all nice and powder coated. Keep the corrosion off of it. So that stud was not fun to get out. I had to use a torch, and there's no stud or strip bolt that has defeated me. I'm like the king of removing any damaged bolts or anything stripped, and this kind of sort of kicked my ass. If you look in here, fortunately though, just the top of the threads got stripped because the stud actually doesn't go very deep in there. And fresh threads on the bottom, I blow it out with some WD-40 and some air. So now it's all good to go for that. So we got that prep. I'm glad I did because it took me, I don't even know how long. So now this transmission will be easy to put back in the car. One more thing I found out was I do have this is out of a 90 or 2000 Honda CR-V. It's stamped PBW1, which is apparently the holy grail of V Series all-wheel drive transmissions. And I obviously got the PEP transfer case, which is what I was really going for anyway. And I happen to get the right transmission too. So it's a PBW 97. So I'm really stoked on that. One other thing that I was able to do, obviously we ran the cables through the firewall or to the bottom of the transmission tunnel. And I had a comment about that. So I'm gonna show you how I exactly did that. So start the engine bay first. So yeah, dude, I put, what is that sound? I put the cables through, they come out and they go over the subframe. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'll get under the car and I'll show you guys real quick. Oh, so here are the cables right here, and they run, you can see, right through here. I'm using the OEM CRV grommet. I can give you guys a better angle. So I went ahead and used the OEM CRV grommet. I did have to kind of cut it to fit these bigger cables through. So we just cleaned up the area. I cut a perfect hole, and I'll give you guys the dimensions for that if you're curious. So cut a nice perfect hole, got my 1 3/4 hole saw. I found the center, put two holes, took a grinder and cut that, filed it good, and make sure this fit nice and tight. So that's why I ran the cables. You can run them all sorts of ways. I believe K-Tune actually makes a bracket, and I think it's kind of pricey. And it goes, I believe it goes where the heater lines go through the firewall. And I opted to go through the floor like a CRV, so it looks nice in my opinion. Looks more OEM. So you can see, nice and flat, nice and flush, all the way around. Looks OEM, just the way I like it. And we got our nice shifter in. The shifter is actually really good. It's Jack Spanier Racing B Series all-wheel drive shifter, aka TSX Accord shifter. So I really like it. Curious to really try it out, hopefully in a couple weeks. Still got the Momo steering wheel, still got the carbon fiber bezel for the gauges, and it's pretty gutted. AC is nice and mounted up out of the way, and I am excited to drive this thing. And there's my beautiful brand new Honda Passport, which I'll show you guys in a little while. So anyway, just gonna give you guys a little update. So that's pretty much gonna do for the video. Later on, I'm gonna throw a thread repair, do the thread repair on the back of the block, and that's about it. And hopefully get the transmission thrown in a couple weeks or so. And we'll be doing some, maybe racing, I don't know. But we'll get the thing running. It's still gonna be front-wheel drive. We're gonna be running a block out play, which I will show you guys when that time comes. But in the meantime, we are gonna be front-wheel drive for quite some time. Maybe say end of the year we'll be all-wheel drive, hopefully, maybe even sooner, depending on a lot of things. We're still running the Precision 6266 ball bearing Gen 2 turbo. This is a sleeved B18C1 with 9-to-1 CP pistons, just some Manley H-beam rods. We're running just a Dragonfire distributor, which needs to switch over to some ignition coils or completely electronic, get rid of the mechanical side of it. For the most part, we're going to be running the magnets because I do not have complete what do you call that, standalone. So yep, we got the Sheepy Race still, Sheepy Race top mount. Not a fan of it, but it's functioning. We're gonna be running a super single disc in this thing. We have Pro 1 cams in the head, completely built, titanium valves and retainers, well, partially titanium valves. There's other material mixed in with it. But we're gonna be switching out these retainers probably in a little while, maybe a year or two. Putting some steel ones in there so they last a little longer. And everything else is pretty much stock, so excited for that. Obviously missing the transmission, and we are getting that gear set in. The 6266, is it a small turbo? That's what you ask. For me, it's a good size turbo. For street setup, it's gonna light up just instantly. It's gonna give me a really wide power band. And it being all-wheel drive, I can throw all the boost at it. I don't need the boost, but I kind of need the boost by gear probably in first and second, maybe in second, but it's gonna light up real quick. It's gonna grip real good, and you're not gonna even see it coming. So don't need a big turbo for this setup. It is a built, sleeved, forged motor. I'm not worried about breaking it. So we are debating if we're gonna go E85 or methanol. I'm kind of aiming towards methanol. This is easier and more convenient, and I'm not gonna worry about anything getting gunked up or, you know, rough starts or anything, hopefully. So if I do that, I might be getting it retuned before it's all-wheel drive, try to hit my 600 horsepower mark. Now keep in mind this car weighs 2,100 pounds front-wheel drive, so this car is stupid light. And once I throw level drive in it, I'm assuming it's gonna be around 2250. So it's another thing to consider. The weight of this car, the power to the weight ratio is nuts in this car. So 6266 is perfect. Yeah, just go ahead and like and subscribe to see more, obviously. And I will be racing this all-wheel drive car, maybe doing some donuts in it, I don't know. I am gonna end this video. So thank you guys for watching. Oh, and I did get the, you can see, hang on one second. I got the all new license plate frame for this thing. This automatically means I have the factory warranty put back on this car.